Hi everybody, it's Lynda again. Today I'm with Katrien. So she's from the Netherlands, and Katrien is a very, very experienced aquatic expert, really, because she has so many strings to her bow. So hi Katrien,
Hi, Linda.
nice to speak to you again. And your
Absolutely. Yeah, and hi to everybody watching this.
yeah,
Hello.
that's it. Well, everybody across the world as well, because we are sort of like getting out there, which is really cool. So,
Yeah.
Katrien, tell me first, when did you start getting involved in working in a swimming pool? What happened?
I was really young when I started working in a pool, and I always loved to do sports. When I was 4, and people asked me, "What do you want to do when you are bigger?" I always said, like, I want to be a sports teacher. I was 4 when I said it, and it never changed. So, at the time I was 15, I did a course to become a monitor in sports camps, and most of the questions were asked for pool people. And I enjoyed being in the pool, so I was like, yeah, let's do that. So at the age of 15, I started with doing summer camps in the pool, teaching children to swim, but also to play and have fun. And then at that time, it was long ago, at that time, things started to develop with baby and toddler swimming. So I started to look into that, and I started doing some classes in 3 different pools, like close to my hometown, and I really enjoyed that. And then I graduated. I did my bachelor in sports, and at the last year I ended up here in the Netherlands because I was in Belgium when where I was born. So I ended up in the Netherlands, and I really wanted to do something in the field of the aquatics again. So I ended up in a pool, also doing my master's there for special education needs. And what I did is using psychology and the typical motoric remedial teaching, and change that from land to water and see what the difference was between land and water. And I really enjoyed it. So the pool where I worked at that time, where I did the research, they asked me to stay with them, and the school also said, like, we have a job for you. So I ended up in the Netherlands working for the pool and the school, and I really enjoyed it. But at that time, I always loved like being in the fitness and aerobic world. So they said, "Oh, you can teach aerobics, so here you go, you can teach aquatics." And I was like, I don't know what to do because it's different, right? So I started looking up more certification, more education around aquatics. Ended up in Belgium again to learn that, because in the Netherlands there was a lot of deep water, but not really shallow water. And because of that, I ended up in the US with the A.R.E.A, the Aquatic Exercise Association, and I really enjoyed it, and a whole world opened for me, and I totally loved it. I wanted to do more. I became an A.R.E.A international trainer specialist, so I can do more. And then I said, hey, if there is nothing in the Netherlands, why don't I start doing it myself and start an educational center? So I started building that in 2006. I was already working internationally at that time. So I started that grow from very small to the thing that I have now, a big institute, Kataqua, which is based in the Netherlands but works in Belgium and the Netherlands a lot, with 7 other trainers. And yeah, and like the thing that felt for me the most is the water itself. The power of the water, the magic of the water, anything that you can do there. I really felt that I can do my thing, you know. I was with children, well, they're in the water. I was with regular people, I'm in the water. I'm with seniors, put them in the water. Like, okay, everybody needs to go to the water. So yeah, I just realized after some time that I'm not the youngest anymore. So I was thinking, like, do I really want to do this? Like, in 20 years, do I still want to be jumping on deck, stuff like that? And I really enjoyed working with the elderly population. So I wanted to know more about that. So I started to do some extra courses for hydrotherapy. And I really enjoy that, because I know that I can do hydrotherapy for a long time. And maybe I have to do less jumping and more specific needs for the special population. So now I can really help a lot of different populations in the pool, which I enjoy the most. Yeah.
I think that's what I found, that I used to like working sort of with very fit, the elite athletes, because of sort of my background. I mean, I don't know whether you're the same as well, but when you do the university stuff, they don't really have anything in the pool, so you're trying to convert all your land knowledge into the water side of things. But so as I got older, I found that the therapy, the rehab stuff, you suddenly realise that that's the way you need to go. But it's a very, very rewarding side as well, isn't it? I think that it's all rewarding, but it's just to sort of be able to help these people that feel that they can't do anything anymore. You know, they were the fit ones, they were the ones jumping around, they were the ones running sort of the marathons, doing the yoga, doing the Pilates, and suddenly they can't get up and down off the floor. Where can they go? So the pool. I always say to people, you know what, about water is, unlike any other sport, you can carry on in the water for the rest of your life. You know, you even without legs, you can still get in the pool and swim. And, you know, even at the last Olympics, they had that elite athlete that actually had no arms or legs, and he still was competing in the Paralympics. You know, it's phenomenal. Even, you know, because people say, well, what about darts players? You know, yeah, you still need your hands to throw a dart. So it is the only sport that I think that you can carry on doing till the day they carry you off.
Yeah, I always say, like, the water is a solution for so many things, even if it's orthopedic or neurology or even a mental thing, you know, especially like with the children. I see a lot of things happening in that water that will never happen online. And even with the population that you have, yeah, like you say, even if it's athletes or if it's people that transfer from rehab back and forward to regular aquatics or whatever, everybody deserves its spot, and there is a solution for it, and that's water. Like, if you just look at it from the resistance point of the water, in one way you can use the resistance as a training opportunity. So you use that water resistance to be stronger, faster, speed up, whatever, you train your muscles in a different way. On the other hand, that same resistance of the water can help people to stabilize more, to have better balance, to have less fear of falling, you know. And that's that same resistance. That resistance doesn't change, but the property of it, the goal that it gives you, is amazing.
Yeah.
And and so at the same time, you can have one person running back and forward in the pool just for an athletic performance, while the other one is running back and forward in the pool for a better gait. And isn't that cool? You know, like, it's awesome to know that everybody deserves its space.
Absolutely.
And the water can provide it.
Yeah, I remember years ago teaching one of my aqua classes, and all my elderly ladies in the pool. And because of what I did, I had a professional basketball player dropped in amongst my ladies. I mean, they did want to eat him alive because, you know, here he was with his gorgeous body and everything. And the ladies were going, oh, we'll show you what to do, dear. How you can have, you know, your 70-year-old granny, but also someone who's incredibly fit and strong, but needs to, you know, rehab a certain joint or something that's happened to them. So it's a great equalizer, the swimming pool.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Okay, so let's bring on another angle. So who is one of your biggest influences in, I don't mind, therapy or fitness? And sort of like, you know, who was the person that sort of you looked at?
Well, there are a few people that I'm not going to say like pulled or pushed me along, but I do remember that one of my first international conventions, there was Angie Proctor from A.R.E.A. I had no idea who she was, and it was an A.R.E.A. conference, so she said, are you teaching tomorrow? Yeah. Then you better do your A.R.E.A. exam. I was like, okay, what? So it was totally new. So my first vision was like, oh my God, she's the boss of the world, you know, running the world. And I remember that after teaching my class, she came to me and she said, Katrien, you have a lot of potential. I see a lot of talent in you, both in water and out of the water as a presenter. I see a big future in you. And I was very honored to hear that from the boss. And yeah, here I am, like many years later, and I'm still connected to that A.E.A. And she guided me all the way along. And well, in better and worse times, it was an up and down thing, because we are looking here in Europe how to implement everything from A.E.A. US. How can we do it in Europe? Get connected in one family. So she was one that I really looked up to. And then the second one, who was the only person in the world who could shush me, quiet me down, was Mr. Junkono. I met him a long time ago as well in the Netherlands with the A.R.E.A. Stuff, and I was like, I don't think it's really for me, but it's a good angle to go to. And I enjoyed it from the first sequence that we did. I was like, this is different. My fingers are tingling, my shoulders are warm, something is happening with me that I didn't know. So I did the whole 5-day course with Yun for the A.R.E.A. and my mind got totally set up. And of course, because of that, I also met Ruth Sova, which is the other angle that I was pursuing for the A.R.E.A., the Aquatic Therapy and Rehab Institute. And for me, that was like a world opening as well. So those both worlds for me were like the biggest things ever. And then there's one person I have to mention, because I remember the first time that I was at the International Aquatic Fitness Conference from A.A. in Florida. There was Laurie Denemy. And Laurie Denemy was teaching on deck with her beautiful American how do you say, jargon, English jargon, in like, okay, move this arm in a sagittal plane and use those posterior deltoid, whatever. I was like, what? I want to teach like her. I want to know my muscles and all the things. I want to know how that works. I already knew it because of my bachelor, but I never really knew how to execute it. And she was like teaching it so easily. I was like, I want to be like her. And I remember talking to her, like, I really look up to you. For me, you are amazing. And well, years later, me and Laurie got together and got this beautiful BioExercise program idea, which was something that she was doing, something that I was doing. And sometimes when you have the research, like the biggest research that came out, and at one point everything just fell together and like a puzzle. And then we said to each other, like, we should do something with this, because if it's research-based, not in like one research, but if it's different researches that we can combine in one program with your good part and my good part, and we put that together because it just fits, this might be a great opportunity. And that became BioExercise, and it took like 2 years to develop the whole program and everything, but it was amazing. And because of BioExercise, I went to China. I was able to present the BioExercise. I had the president there from the sports department there. And he was like, this is it. We have to bring this to China. I was like, okay, this is something that needs to be shared in the world. So Laurie Denemy kind of pushed me, guided me, but I think I was doing exactly the same with her as well, pushing her and guiding her, and we put our strengths together. So yeah, she was somebody that I always really looked up to as well, you know, like it just fit it, you know, like yeah.
No, 3 amazing people, definitely. And I think, you know, with A.E.A., it is the one community that sort of brings the world together. And the aquatic fitness side of things, it's a phenomenal force to be reckoned with, really. And sort of everyone gets so excited at that conference to go and to attend and to be a part of. So I've been very honoured to be a part of it, and you know, and it's sort of had a big influence on my life. It was probably one of the main reasons I went and did my degree, was to be able to be and present for A.E.A. And of course Ruth, as you say, with the therapy side of things. And I don't think there is anywhere in the world quite like A.R.E.A. There's no country that's got that same sort of balance of things that they've got. So yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, for me, the water gives so many opportunities for so many populations. And this is something that took for years. When you're in the field for a long time as well, so you probably seen the same. You know, you had that aquatic division, aquatic fitness, and you had that aquatic therapy division, and there was like this huge wall in between. Like we didn't talk to each other, we were looking to each other like, but you're not a therapist, so you don't know how it works. And we were like, yeah, but you are not trained to be in the water, so you don't know how water works. And that wall in between, like when we started to do BioExercise, the name was not even born yet. Our project was called No Walls. And we wanted to have that wall smaller and smaller, because in aquatics there is no wall, there is not a division, everybody can be there. So that wall is narrowing down, and I think that this is something that you will see in the last years and probably will grow into the future as well, is that aquatic fitness and aquatic therapy is getting together more and more. And it will always be different fields, because it's a different way of working, it's a different way of approaching as a coach or as a therapist or as a presenter, or it's a different population, but the transfer is going to be easier. And that's really cool to know, like if they stop doing the physiotherapy because they only have like 12 times that they can go, or at least transfer them to us, because we know how to continue that physical therapy. Or on the other hand, if we have strong, good people that have their injury, let's bring them to the physical therapist, that we can work together towards a faster, stronger, better goal. Because we all know that if you do therapy in the water, it will probably not be faster, but at least it will give you less pain, and it will be nicer to do than go to the regular older protocol exercises, you know. Yeah. And this is something that I really adore, like having the organizations, and like you said, A.R.E.A. and A.R.E.A. are the ones that, well, rule the world, because they have all the interests from everywhere. They're all over the world. They're in New Zealand, Australia, and we cannot say like in Australia we know better, or no, it's a different approach or a different way of working. Why don't we take it with us and learn from that as well? Because we work with people. There is not one way. No, it's a waterway. We mean it's different. It's never the same. So we always have to find different things, and that is what we can learn from these organizations, because they don't look at their thing, they look at the world, they connect the world, yeah, like how do we go there? We learn from the Americans learn from the Dutchies learn from the UK people, you know, and it's a beautiful world to get together and to help each other out, to enhance and improve.
Yeah. All about sharing. I mean, I've always believed that, you know, you can't take it with you. There's no point in having all this knowledge, this education, in investing financially into, you know, our personal education, if actually it goes in the box with us at the end. We've got to be able to give it to the world and give it to everybody else, so that everybody can sort of carry on developing it, taking it forwards, and, you know, better for everybody, really. It is that caring and sharing. You know, we're supposed to be in a caring industry, so they can do it. So excellent. Yeah. So, okay, let's the next tricky question. There's a lot of equipment out there. What's your favorite piece of kit to work with, and why?
Ooh, I love this question. Here you go. My favorite type of equipment is, of course, everything that is resistance, because I really think that you can enhance the resistance in the pool and make it stronger, harder to work with. So I really enjoy it. I kind of like I see a positive thing in anything out there. Let's say that for first. Like if you want to have the aqua pole in the water, I love doing the aqua pole, but not on a weekly basis. You know, it's going to be fun for maybe a bachelor party or a disco night or whatever, like a one-time thing. But okay, it's okay. But the equipment that will always be there will be the resistance equipment. And the other equipment, like the buoyant stuff, the elastics and stuff like that, is really good too. But most of the people do not really know how to work them, probably, like the functional of it. They will use dumbbells as a frontal surface area instead of using it as a buoyant equipment, you know. And I'm really into more functional training with that equipment. So use it in a correct way. Use it where it was designed for. So for me, the resistance is easy because there is resistance all the time. So even if you're not a really strong or knowledge coach or instructor, you can't miss, because that resistance equipment will always do the correct thing, while the buoyant and the elastic thing is going to be different, and they will be used more as variation than the other stuff. What I do like about the buoyant equipment though is that it trains the back a little bit more, like a triceps. When you have that dumbbell and you just push down the dumbbell in a slow pace movement, you will have a lot of triceps in that biceps curl, but you will do a lot of biceps, which is good because the triceps is like a lesser trained muscle than our biceps. So it's good to train that lesser muscle to have better muscle balance. So if you use it in a correct way, the buoyant equipment can help as well. Like even on the legs, it will help to for the hamstrings and our glutes, which is also our lesser developed muscle in that lower body. So yeah, and what's my favorite? There's one that I really like to work with my most, I work mostly with the senior people, is the Aqua Gel. And the Aqua Gel is that yellow towel-y thing. It's made of mesh. It has little holes in it, and it has, on one side it has one pocket, and on the other side it has 3 pockets. So you can have that range, and it's like this high. So if you put it in the water, it gives you a lot of resistance. But if you're not really strong, you can circle it around, make it more thin, and then still use it as a drag equipment in the water, but with less resistance. And also for like proprioception in the water, you can drag it along in the water. It's really slow, so you can easily pick it up, turn it again. You can put it on your feet for balance training. Use one feet to circle with that. Yeah, and it's called the Aqua Gel, J-A-L, because it was designed by Joanne Odile-Leblond. And Joanne Odile-Leblond is somebody that I met from Canada. I met her in Germany years ago as well. That's somebody that I look up to as well, because not only because of the Aqua Gel, but also because of her personality. The way that she was working in the water, doing therapy in the water was amazing. She developed so many beautiful body and mind programs as well, like the Yochi, which I love as well. So yeah, the Aqua Gel would be a thing that I use a lot, because with most of my clients, I don't ever use equipment. I have people with rheumatoid arthritis. I have people with fear. Then as you use the equipment, it's different. It's hard. Some people cannot even hold on to it. So I don't want anybody to feel left out. So when I use dumbbells, it's like, okay, but you 5, you cannot do that because it's too hard for you. I don't want that. And the Aqua Gel, everybody can use it, even your athletics, because that resistance, when you put that max on, if you do the outside pocket, it's going to give you that maximum resistance. It's going to be really hard as well, and you're going to train on a very high intensity as well. So yeah, Aqua Gel, favorite. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do get very frustrated, like when you were saying about the buoyant equipment, where people sort of hold it in front of you and say, let's do a bicep curl, and yeah, let's wave it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, let's work those biceps. Yeah. They're like, nope, not really. Yeah, it's hard, and you know, that's where we pop in, you know. It's not because of frustration that we started our education. It's really to enhance the people, and at the end, it's not about the instructor. It's about the person that is in the water on that instructor, you know. And if they are doing something wrong, the people in the water are going to know. It's going to feel wrong. So for me, it's enhancing that instructor. It's not like, oh, you're doing it wrong. Well, probably they never had an education, or they never went in the pool to figure it out themselves, you know. sometimes when you ask them, like, why do you do that? They go like, oh, but because my colleagues do it as well, or because I've been always, I always did it like that. Like, have you been properly trained? And we have to be honest. It's, unfortunately, aquatic fitness is not a profession that is really high leveled. No. Like in the Netherlands, everybody can teach. Everybody can stand on the pool. You're good on the music. You can work with music and groups. Here you go. Go teach aquatics, you know. And that's how a lot of people start. Yeah. So you cannot be angry about that. You just can tell them, like, might be good to do some certification or do at least a workshop or learn something about working in the water, because it's a different medium. It's different than land. It's and sometimes the opposite. Like you say, a biceps curl doesn't work the biceps, it's work the triceps when you use that equipment.
I think it's one of the good things about conferences as well, because when we do the conferences, the instructors get in the water, and it might be the first time that they've actually felt some of those exercises themselves. You know, that's the one thing with Aqua, you've got to get in that pool, you've got to feel it. You know, you can't really go around going bicep curl. That's when you realise that it's not. Okay, so group exercise or one-to-one?
It depends. Probably for me, it depends on the population. You know, if it's somebody that I know that I can help one-on-one, I would totally love to treat them or have them one-on-one. But I always look at a lot of possibilities. And I know that a lot of people, they want to do it one-on-one, but they will totally fit in a group as well. So yeah, and for me, the passion to teach in a group, like the energy that the group brings, the music that you use, the exercises, you see them growing every week. That is what brings me back to the pool every week. Like I never feel that I have to go to my job. It's always like, oh, I can do such nice things for the people, you know. But sometimes one-on-one is just needed, you know, and I wish I had more time to do one-on-one, because probably it's the same in a lot of countries. The water is really, it's not cheap to rent. It's a lot of money to do one-on-one sessions. So sometimes it's not even possible to do it. So I wish I had more time, but also more money and to help those people. So if I do a one-on-one, it's probably before and after a class, so I can stay a little longer, or especially with the children, like on special times in between, I can help one child, or yeah, I do like it. But yeah, group exercise is quite easy. Sometimes the people think like I'm not good enough to do group exercise. Well, yeah, sometimes you just stand in the water. I have a 92-year-old who just stands in the water, smiles, goes up and down from time to time because he's really tall, and then sometimes uses his arms a little bit, and then after class he's so thankful, like, oh, this was so good. And we're like, you haven't done anything, but it's a whole social thing around it, and you know that he loves and he likes, and the people are nice to him, and so even that would be okay. And yeah, I cannot help him one-on-one. I would not even know what to do with him, you know, like, what do I do, walk along, you know. He can do that in a group, you know. That's yeah. So it really depends on the population. Yeah,
I think also with those very elderly, there's another aspect to it that comes in, and that's, it might be the only time that they get to socialize, and it's tactile. You know, if they've lost their partner, then it's like a hug, isn't it? The water's touching their bodies, so it's like having that hug. So you're stimulated in that aspect as well. And I think you can't undervalue that aspect, you know, just being in there and being part of that.
Yeah, and this is the hardest thing, that like the situation that we are in now. You know that a lot of people are home now, maybe alone, can't have any visit, maybe they're quarantined because they are afraid of letting people in or whatever, and that's a hard thing. So I so hope that the how do you say, the threshold to come back is going to be small. So I'm ready to hug them, but not in a real hug them, because that's not allowed. But like you say, the water is going to hug them, and it's going to feel so good to be back, because it is a social thing. It is nice, and the situation that we are in now makes it even harder. So yeah, go back to the pool, people. Go back as soon as it's safe enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that sort of leads in a very roundabout way into what's been your biggest challenge in your career?
That would be another organization that I really looked up to. The IATF, International Aquatic Therapy Foundation, which is a huge organization with a lot of content. They are doing a lot of research-based only things, so they don't look at practical-based, they look at evidence-based stuff. And it was really hard for me to connect with them because I am not a physical therapist. It was really hard to get into that area, and here in the Netherlands we have an NPI, a Dutch Paramedic Institute, that gives hydrotherapy courses, and I tried to get into those courses, but I was never allowed because I was not a physical therapist. But luckily I got in touch with Johan Lambeck, who is one of the course leaders of that NPI for the hydrotherapy. And we were talking, and it said like, yeah, maybe you have some background on A.R.E.A, A.R.E.A, so maybe you can try to do the course and see what it is, but it's in English. And like, it's okay, I can speak English and listen to English enough. So I did that first course, and it really helped me develop, but I was like, I want more, I want more. But it was always really hard to get that connection, you know, like you are with 30 people in an aula listening to a lecture. And still you would always feel like the people go like, yeah, but you're from the aquatic fitness, right? You're not a therapist. What are you doing here? You know, so that for me was always my biggest challenge, is like, but I do know how the water works. I do know, blah, blah, blah. Like not to step in and to prove myself, but to be humble and learn from them. And then finally, it took me years, but finally the group got to know me, and they go like, oh, but you have nice ideas. And then the I.G. Came in a little bit more as well, which is a big part of the therapy, evidence-based therapy as well. So like, hey, do you want to do some can you help me with the I.G.? I was like, serious? Like years ago, you didn't allow me in the course, and now you're asking me to help a little bit with the I.G. I would love it, you know, and things grow, but it has always been challenging. Like we were invited to Las Vegas for the conference there, or in Mexico. Katrien, can you help us for in Mexico? Can you do something on heart rate, things in the water, and give them some practical application? I was like, sure, I will do it for free, you know, like, but again, then you arrive there and the whole group is a physical therapy group, or doctors or masters or whatever. I'm like, oh, I'm just Katrien from the aquatic field, you know. And that was for me the challenging thing, and is still the challenging thing, because I'm not into that research. I'm not really knowledgeable on doing research, on doing bigger things in the water, but I'm always like, maybe in the future, you never know. If I have the opportunity to do a research, maybe in a few years I will say yes to doing that, you know. So it's nice, but it's really challenging, because evidence-based is something that's always really high on top. And I am more of the awareness, like, if the water already proved it and we already seen outcome, why don't we wait for the research to say it works? You know it works, do something with it, work with that, and the research will follow. I remember Dr. Bruce Becker, you know Dr. Bruce Becker as well. We met him in Las Vegas together, and his opening speech was like, when you jump out of a plane, you don't know if you're gonna die, yes or no. Why do we want to research it? You know that if you jump out of the plane, you're gonna die. But if we only look at it from a research evidence-based perspective, there might be a chance it's different. We have to research it first before we can tell it's true or not. And he said like it's stupid. So that was an eye-opening for everybody. Like, okay, sometimes we have to work with it. And another thing is, the technology changes so much. There is no time to do the research. There is no time to develop all the things, the equipment, like the Doppler, underwater Dopplers, or actic-glassic measurement underwater. It's really hard to get those equipment, but we already know how it works because the outcomes are there, you know? So yeah, that's a challenge in like telling people, like, look at the practical based information as well, and not only on the research. I know that research is important, for sure, but we have to start somewhere. Same with the BioExercise, same with Aqua Stretch program. You know, like the A.R.E.A. A.R.E.A started as just a swimming program, and then years later it was evidence-based that it worked, you know, but we were all like believing in the A.R.E.A method, you know. And yeah, that's a challenge for me, like, oh, let me do my thing because I know it works. I cannot prove it, but you see it, you know, like you see it happening right in front of you.
And especially when you've been teaching for many years, you can just spot it, can't you? It's sort of,
yeah. One of the most beautiful examples that I saw in that is the one that they did with the dementia. Stacey Lynch did that one with the dementia, and you see that man in the wheelchair, like being aggressive, non-talking, very low, and then suddenly he's in the water. They take him to the water, and he goes like looking around, big eyes, different eye impacts, like, hey, something's happening here. And then after 2 or 3 sessions, he even speaks, he even talks. He takes his wife and go like, let's go take a walk in the water, and his wife is like, what? He's talking to me. Like, you see it, you cannot prove it. It's really hard to prove that in our heads, like what is exactly going, but you see it in the person, like, take them to the water, you know.
Also is because, of course, with science it wants you, oh, it's only, you know, one person, one case study, 10 people or something like that. They want hundreds of people, thousands of people, but everybody's different. Everyone's going to react slightly different. So you can't say with a conclusive evidence that this is going to be the effect, because again, it depends on someone else's physiology, upon someone else's, you know, mental state and everything. So, you know, for us in this industry, it's a very, very difficult one to prove. You know, we've already proved many times the properties of water and the physics of it. You know, we don't need to sort of like research that. We know about it. We know about drag. We know about, you know, action, reaction, and all those other things. So they have been proven, and the other things are just so much different. So that's another reason why I think people go, nah, that stuff.
Yeah. And I really strongly believe in the research again, and it's good to have that, and that's why I really like to follow everything that IATF is doing, because like Dr. Sato, when he's doing his research with a cap on, with all the measurement things, like sitting in a pool, sitting outside of the pool, I love listening to those things, and like, beautiful, but now what, you know, like we know it, but now how you are, what are we going to do with it in the pool? You know, like we know that mathematics learning is better in a pool, but nobody is teaching maths in a pool, right?
Not that I know.
Not that I know either. If there's somebody out there that knows about it, let me know. Would be nice to know. So I do agree with everything, but it's like when you say, I think it was in Las Vegas as well, that we were talking about all the different variables that we have in a pool, the parameters, the temperature of the pool, the depth of the pool, the size of the pool, how many people are in the pool, how deep the people were in the pool, the acoustics, the and so on and so on. There is no way that we can have those written down, and then even in different studies, you will only see 3 of those variables or parameters coming, and then in another study you take the other parameters and it's a totally different outcome. So how far can we go in that evidence-based in the water? Well, not that far. The only thing that we can do is test on land, train in the water, then test on land again, and then you can see the results. But then still we don't know what exactly happened in that water portion.
I know. Honestly, I've been with the research that I've been doing and trying to sort of look at stretching in water. It's crazy. I find half a dozen journals, and there's one saying, oh, but we did the test in the water, or we did the warm up on land and then went in the water, and then we did this. It's like, it's just so yeah, science, huh? Okay.
Yeah. Gotta love it, but practical base for me is still the way to go the most. Yeah.
So okay, so the next tricky one if you want to be remembered for one thing when you retire, which is off, what will that be?
Well, first of all, I don't think I will ever retire.
No, nor will I. But
No, I think I will always do something in the field of aquatics. I'm not going to say that I will still be teaching when I retire, but like with the educational institute, the Kataqua that I have, I don't think I will ever give that to somebody else. I will probably, when I retire, there will be a manager guiding that whole thing. I hope that that will still continue. But I think I always will have my little tentacles. I'm always going to be the spider in the web because that's my nature. And I would want to be remembered as probably the spider. The spider that connects web thing, because I really like that, you know, like the different fields, like we were talking about aquatic fitness, aquatic therapy, practical based, evidence based, but there's also a big part of me that is still very into the children, because I always did a lot of special needs children stuff and child psychology stuff like that. So I think that makes me like a spider, because my range is very big. Yeah. And I'm not pursuing one big thing. I'm open to everything, and I just want to connect the dots. And I think I would like it if people would say like, yeah, Katrien was like a spider in the web, connecting the whole things and together and matched people up and helped the industry grow. Yeah.
Well, I definitely think you do that. You do the plenty of now, so have even more tentacles out there.
Yeah, that's where my heart is.
Yeah.
Yeah, like be open for everything. Even if I think like, oh my God, what is this? I will always try to find something like, okay, what can I learn from this situation? Even if it's really poor or really bad, I can learn from it, you know? And yeah, be positive, be humble, be nice. Yeah.
As I say, you know, kindness costs nothing. So it's all supporting each other as we go through this.
Agreed.
This thing called life, this challenging life at the moment. Very challenging. But they're going to desperately, I mean, all of our people are going to want us and need us so much when they go back, because I don't know if you're anything like me, but I'm getting more and more contact and more calls from my clients because pain, you know, the uncertainty of everything accentuates the pain, and they're sort of, you know, they need to move around, and a lot of my people can't do these virtual classes because of their conditions. They need someone keeping an eye on them a lot more, and just sort of like, you know, though I'm sort of doing a seated class with some of them, it's still, that's then compressing on the fascia, and especially if they've got the lower back pain. So they need the water. They need to be able to get back in that pool, decompress those joints, and sort of get that freedom back again. So
yeah, well, if there's one thing that we can research, even if it's in the water or not, it's like the pain scale. If we want to know it at pain scale, it doesn't, well, it will change in the water, but we can measure it on water and on land, so in water and on land. And the other one is quality of life. And that's another thing that probably, even if it was not a really trainable session that you did with the client sitting there, just sitting and doing minor exercises, probably anything that was the mental part, the psychology, seeing you, interacting with you, was even better than having a phone call or doing nothing, you know, that probably helped them as well. And that was for me the hardest thing with this situation as well, is how far can you go? Like in the beginning, I went to do senior classes, so all my seniors can do a class with me. And then I started thinking like the same, like they cannot do the things on land as much as they normally would want to, but they can do everything in the water. So I needed to change that. Plus, another thing that I was thinking about, like, imagine having some of your clients in a Zoom meeting on your screen, and then suddenly you see somebody popping out of the chair. You know, like, oh, what do? Yeah. You know, like, they're alone.
I'll probably have a heart attack on the spot.
Well, can you imagine? And that's what a lot of, I also say, like, the people with the Heart Foundation and stuff, like, you need to do something. but it's quite dangerous. You don't know what's on the other side. You know, how much I enjoyed teaching it like it. I was always afraid, like, I hope nothing happens to them, because it might happen, you know, but yeah, that was like a weird situation. Like, I want to get them in the pool. Not possible. Okay, we can do virtual classes. Well, yeah, possible, but you have to change it. And then what? Yeah, do I have to have the people sign up and waiver forms and whatever? Like,
Yeah, this is it. I mean,
it's really hard.
I saw the other day on one of the Facebook groups I'm on, where they were saying that actually now with the Zoom classes, that the insurance company is saying you've got to record the class and keep it for 3 years, just in case, which is a bit terrifying. So I don't know whether you've got the same over there and you've heard of that as well, that's, yeah. I need to find out, I'll have to find out more about that.
But the problem that we would have when you record a class is our privacy law. Then you have everybody to sign up. When I did like a little recording, I always asked the people like thumbs up that you agree with the recording now, and then I started to press record to make sure that I'm okay. And then, but still, you feel responsible. It's the same now. Like, we are allowed to open our pools, but we are not allowed to open our gyms. I'm like, so I can take all the people that do group fitness, I can ask them from the fitness land part, I'm gonna, hey, but we can do it, go to the pool, because you're welcome. We have our wet gym. If you want to join us, you can join us. So that is like for me, that's really hard. Like, why can't we do it inside and outside, inside of a pool and inside of a gym? For me, it's almost the same. I know it's not the same, and I know it's because of the aerosols dropping on the floor and dropping in the water. The water is totally different, but still, it's the same in changing in dressing rooms and coming in and out. So it's hard. But then, even if you welcome them to the pool, can you provide a healthy environment for them? Is your pool disinfected all the time? Is your pool safe? We don't know. There's not a thing that you can use to measure, you know, like radioactivity. You just use it and it goes like beep, 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 you know. We should have a thing like that. It's like a COVID, yes or no. Is it a safe environment to come? So as much as I would love the people to come to the pool, because we are allowed, in our protocol it says you can start your classes again, I feel responsible for that elderly group, the people that are higher vulnerable. I'm like, I don't think it's safe yet. You know, like, should we wait? Should we not wait? It's hard decisions.
We're having to sort of like blanket everything. So, you know, you might be 25, absolutely in the prime of your health, you know, massive lung capacity, no underlying morbidities that you know about, but we have to keep it that everybody, you know, the pools don't open, the, you know, as you say, the leisure centres, the dance studios and things, they're not open. So,
and nobody knows the answer.
Well, no, because it's never happened before. I mean, this is
what we were talking about, evidence-based. Yeah, you know, we were talking about evidence-based, practical-based. Well, there's another situation, nothing at all. Exactly. And you cannot ask the people like, can we do research on you? Come to the pool, and then you have two groups. One who will infect with COVID, and the other one not. You can't do it. You know, this is a situation that we have no idea.
No, and it's never happened before, so we've got nothing to go by either. So, and you know, this is the. Like everyone's playing a blame game of everything, but nobody knows. It's very. I think that sometimes we're a little bit unfair on all the people that are making the decisions, because what have they got to go on? Yes, they say the science, but the science is only, it's occurring now. It's a current science. It's not, oh, let's look at what they did back in sort of the 60s and the 70s, and you know, and let's see what they did with people with, you know, some other sort of virus. It's very, very difficult. It's evolving the science of the now, and I think that's what we've got to sort of like realise, and that, you know, new beginnings, new thought.
But it's fun that you say, because we see the same here. You have people that say like, true or a fact is that in every country you see different things. Like Belgium is really locked. I cannot even visit my parents now in Belgium because I cannot even go to Belgium. This is locked. In France you have this. In Italy the gyms reopen. In Portugal it's different. So every country has its different way of approaching it. And then some people say like, oh, it's a conspiracy. They are putting rats in research, and every country they are doing different things, you know. And my answer is like, isn't it good that we do different things? Because we have no answer. Let's see what it works. Like in Denmark, where my brother lives, the schools already reopened 4 weeks ago, and the hairdressers and stuff. There's no second wave there, so why don't we learn from that, you know? And we can learn from that, and it's good that every country is doing a different approach, because they have to look at their own country, the population, how close they are. Like in Italy, everybody is really close, living really close to each other, so the spread is of course faster. Here you go. And they're much huggable as well, like Portuguese and Spanish people are more approachable. But if we look at it from that perspective, like, yeah, I like it that they don't do it there and they do it there. Like in one country, they open the gyms, and unfortunately here in the Netherlands, they still close the gyms, but hey, that's the way it is. But don't fight it, you know, that's the way it is. We don't know, nobody has the answers. If people say like, yeah, but they should, like, do you really think you know better than all the people that are involved in the research of it, you know? Yeah. Listen to them, you know, that's the only thing that we can do, is hopefully believe in it, that it's in the best interest of the people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we've exhausted most things.
Yeah.
We can talk about at another point in time. But
yeah.
I will say thank you very much for your time, Katrien. I know you're a very busy lady with lots of projects on the go. And look forward to seeing you again soon, I hope. And yeah, good luck with the reopening of the pools when that happens. We'll all be there.
Yeah.
We'll get back to our busy lives.
Yeah, before we know it, we are back into our regular stuff, and I can finally use all the vouchers that I have here. I can use them again for all the trips that we will do. Yeah, and yeah, thank you for this interview. It was really nice to do, and you made me think, so that's a good thing as well. I always like it when I learn from something. So yeah, thank you so much, and yeah, I totally would love it to see you back again soon, but then in real life, because you have to come back to the Netherlands and present your fascia stuff for sure. And if not, we do it virtually, but yeah, let's do that. Thank you so much as well.
Thanks, Katrien.
Thank you so much.